The hell is everyone?
For the superficial modern man, history has turned into an ocean of often highly questionable stories. Which do not even match with the historic sites and artifacts they are supposedly based on. But within the old and wise history remains a shining memory of the divine benevolent beings.
Wo ist mein Kanopener? Wo ist mein Kanopener?
The creators of the human race. To keep this sacred memory alive is not just about regaining historical accuracy, but to know for what purpose was this planet created. And why do we, as souls, come here to wear these costumes?
Remember this one?
I don't suppose you could cook us up another turkey dinner for Christmas, eh, Top?
Sure, if
Show yourselves, cowards. Oh, right. Beer Horse is here. And Jaded Wombat and Tom Chain. And that's all I need to get by.
Thank you, Beer Horse.
I haven't played that one in a good long while. Alright, now I'm juiced up and I'm jazzed. Get the coffee flowing. Hope everyone has their iced coffee today. Here we go. We're going to do it. No time to waste. Damn it. No time to waste. Because it's time to do a show. We're back again. We're ready with some of the latest and greatest and weirdest stuff you could ever look at. So that's what we do on the show. That's what we strive to bring you for your listening and viewing pleasure every week. And this time we're back on a Saturday. It's our favorite time to stream. Wake up early, do the chores. Hope everyone did their chores. If you didn't, pause the stream right now, go out there, and do your damn chores. Scrub your toilet, or I don't know. What kind of chores do people have to do? Had to sweep a lot. It sucks. But that's alright, because then we're all done, and that's right, we're going to do another cool stream. Is everybody ready? Here, I'm ready to do another show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got some crazy stuff to show you to do. I can't believe we're about to get into. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to blow your damn mind. Yes! Oh man, it's been quite the week. We launched a new bonus Cool Stream Presents Planet Cool. That was a lot of fun. We'll do one of those next week. We'll travel across the globe and show you some cool, neat stuff. Do a little bit of Google Earth, that kind of thing. But today we're returning to a tried and true topic. People have been champing at the bit for it. They've been asking and demanding that we go back to another crazy conspiracy. So that's what we're going to do. Do some more crazy conspiracy stuff. It's going to be weird. Crazy. It's crazy because it's the cool stream, everybody. That's right. It's Saturday. It's time to chill because we worked hard. We did all of our chores, and now it's time to watch the show. And it's time for me to do it. I'm jacked up. I got my coffee. I'm screaming. I'm hollering. I'm hooting. Oh, man, I'm jazzed. It's a lot of fun. I'm happy to do it for all of my subscribers, all of my friends out there on the web, the World Wide Web, on twitch.tv/b_wolf is where you'll find me. And if you're here today and you're chatting, you'll be all up in the Cool Stream chat brought to you by Sucklebusters. It's over there on the left side. See all those fun and cool messages pop up. So let's get right down to it. Without any further delay, what are we doing? Oh, that's right. We're talking about something real weird and real crazy. You may have never heard of this stuff before. This might be the first time to expose you to this crazy new conspiracy. It's all the rage on the conspiracy web. There's a whole forum dedicated. We're going to deep dive into it. We're going to try to understand what the hell this is all about. That's right, I'm talking about mud floods. I wish I had like a crazy mud kind of sound. Let's see if I can get a sound effect. Mud splat. Sound effect. So we need that. I don't have one ready. Yeah, it's mud flood. We'll figure out what that was. What exactly is the mud flood? We'll start from the very beginning. And we're going to drill down and see all the evidence and weigh the pros and cons and see at the end of this episode, do we believe in the mud flood? Okay, enough of that. Mud flood? That's right. If you're over on Discord, which most of you are, there was some chatting quite a while back where one of our friends who haven't seen him in a while, and he has a crazy name, Kim Jong Unabomber. I think that's still his name. He hipped us to mud floods. It's the newest rage. It's all the rage on the internet. All the people out there are just going crazy over mud floods. It sounds like a real thing, right? Mud floods and landslides and all that. That's definitely something that we know of. This is a whole other thing, and I spent many, many hours looking at all this stuff, looking at the evidence, trying to understand what the hell this is all about. And it also incorporates all kinds of different conspiracies, or there's different... I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. We're going to attempt to unlock the knowledge of the mud flood. So, first place you're going to want to go if you want to learn about mud floods is this interesting website, this forum over at stolenhistory.org. Kind of an interesting name for a forum. And there's one guy over here. He'll kind of be the hero of our story, if you will. Maybe not. Kind of a weird guy. Mudbutt. Oh, that's right. Crap. I forgot I was going to make a joke. Mud floods. Are you talking about when you have your morning coffee in the morning? What happens after that? Take a big shit? No, that's not it. This is all about mud floods. So, who's this guy here? He's the leader in the mud flood research. He knows all about it. He's spreading all this information. And it's the guy from Die Hard. Corbin Dallas. He's a negotiator, it says here, on stolenhistory.org. He's got a bazillion threads here on this website. He's from Seattle, and we'll talk about Seattle. It plays a crucial part of the mud flood mythology and story. Whoops. So, what he says here, and there's also stuff on Reddit at the cultural layer, and we'll talk about that too. Try to get some better summaries here, but here's his post. Apparently there's a theory in Russia. It all comes back to Russia. We've got a lot of Russia stuff, a couple of Russia things, that Peter the Great was not the founder of St. Petersburg. He did not build it. He dug it out. Yes, you heard it right. Supposedly a whole lot of dirt was removed, and from beneath emerged the city. Seattle is famous for their coffee, thus they're well acquainted with mud floods. That's right. Looking up about this now and found a fight on Reddit about the Sphinx being fake. Yeah, so there's a lot of crazy stuff on mud floods. I'm just starting with this post here, Mud Flood and Dust Storm Hypotheses, but it folds in all kinds of stuff about the ancient empire of Tartaria. That'll come up a lot. There's new chronology about how the chronology of time that we understand has actually been altered in some way, and that the Middle Ages didn't actually happen. And then there's stuff about the World's Fair, which is weird. There's stuff about star forts, and it's just insane. This website, this will get you going down some wormholes. Stolenhistory.org. Little plug for their website if you're into that sort of thing. So anyway, Corbin Dallas is spearheading the mud flood movement. And he's going to teach us about all kinds of stuff, all you need to know. So he starts off here that Russia, Peter the Great, and he founded St. Petersburg. He dug it right out of the dirt. From beneath it emerged the city. All right. And this is clearly not an official version, yet there are some reasons for this theory to exist, especially after looking at the engravings done by Giovanni Battista Piranesi. Let's open that thread. We'll maybe have to jump back to that. Got a million tabs open today. Are they a nonprofit? I don't know. Let's donate to stolenhistory.org. It's got some weird overtones. I don't really like the ring of that name, but and there's a whole thread. I looked through this about Giovanni Battista Piranesi. He's an artist from Italy and he's got around this time 1700s, and he's got some art. So this is truth of the mud floods, and I'm not ready to go into that yet. Oh, already it's just so many pathways opening up. So this is his grand thesis. Peter the Great and this artist. Piranesi was creating his immortal art in the 18th century. Buildings I want to talk about, for the most part, were constructed in the 19th century, yet these buildings have clearly accumulated quite a few feet of the so-called cultural layer. Oh boy. What is that? The classic question we ask ourselves on the show. What is that? Okay. So he comes back to the cultural layer. He really hates that. He hates the scientists that talk about the cultural layer. And then we have an archaeology expert in our kind of group of people. And I don't know if he's here today. He might be able to shine some light on the cultural layer. Let's see. The article is from the Great Soviet Encyclopedia. So it might be a little outdated and ideologically biased. Okay. I don't know why he linked to the Soviet Encyclopedia, but it is cultural layer or cultural level in archaeology, a layer of earth on sites of human habitation containing traces or remains of human activities. The thickness of a cultural layer varies from several centimeters to 30 to 35 meters, which is a lot, pretty deep, and depends on mainly on the length and intensiveness of human activity at the given site. Cultural layers are excavated to study the remains of human activities and to construct the history of a given settlement. And that's from the Great Soviet Encyclopedia. That's where I get all my information about the world. It's where Corbin Dallas, our friend here from Die Hard, gets his information. So what it's talking about, I think, in archaeological terms is when they go out and they do a dig, and they're digging out in the dirt, and they find like bones and scraps of stuff. And this is, of course, archaeology is dealing with sites thousands of years old. So I don't think that applies to buildings from around the 18th century, but he thinks it is. So he says, for better visualization of what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the image below. So, you see that? What are we looking at here? What is this? What? It's a buried house. Oh my god, it's proof. It's our first piece of evidence for the mud flood. It's a window. What is that window doing down there? And why would you need a window in your freaking basement? What the hell? Strange. Now that I've seen the image, I think I agree with him. Oh boy, get ready. Get ready. Basically what we have is a building with the bottom floor windows looking different from the windows above. Interesting. These windows in question are either entirely or partially below the ground level. Here are a few buildings demonstrating this trait. There's no other explanation. That's right. Couldn't be anything. It's got to be the mud flood, baby. Here we go. I don't know where this ends. Another thing I want to point out when we go through these images is we don't know where they are. We don't know what these buildings are. So he's providing us some evidence with nothing else but pictures and stuff. So that's kind of what happens. My mind has been blown. It's kind of what happens on the Mud Flood Stolen History website. It's just throw these images out there, just toss them out. We don't really need to explain where they come from. Just take a look at that. Window? What's this window doing here? It's the mud flood. Why is there a window there? The door is there and appears to be in Russia, so we know where that is. There's another one. Some windows. These are kind of small windows, and there's a little gate down there. Maybe a door. And that looks to be also in Russia. So it appears to be that this theory originated in Russia. So it's made its way halfway across the globe. Some more pictures. There'll be some other stuff about Russia. Okay. It'll all start to make sense. Oh, that's kind of weird. So this is a proof of mud flood. So all these pictures. Additional variations may include below. Something like that. Some stuff. And doesn't look too crazy to me. Let us contemplate some of the official explanations. He talks about the cultural layer, and so here's byproduct of human life cycle. It is, so to speak. That's the cultural layer. In other words, with time, we produce elements, dirt, trash, horse dodo, raising the surface level. Archaeological science estimates this accumulation to be just under half inches every 100 years. That's not much. If you think about it's 2000, so 100 years ago was 1900, so 200 years of most of us live in states that are about that age. Horse dodo. So it's about an inch of crap. Poo-poo. And back in the day, a couple hundred years ago, they would just leave their dirt and they'd throw their dirt and their trash and their horse dodo out in the yard and out in the streets, and it would just sit out there for hundreds of years and no one would clean it up. Dirty, nasty people back then. So, what they are saying is that your house is getting buried in dirt and crap. I'll say, unless I do my chores and clean up all the dirt and crap, then it'll be there forever. Instead of sweeping the dirt away, you wait till it entirely buries the first floor. What? Then you use one of the second floor windows and make yourself a new door, because the actual one is 6 feet under. I do not know about you, but I do not buy it. There are plenty of city photos showing these very same buildings at the exact same level 100 years ago. Probably more than 100 years ago. I mean, from lots of years. Everyone's got 2 of them. Settle down version. Settle down now. I know everyone's getting riled up about the mud flood. My understanding is that with time, a building could sink into the ground due, for example, vibration or ground density. Kind of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, for example. I had a little retaining wall in my backyard. I did not do it right the first time, and it settled down. All right. Never took a picture, but was able to find an example. It sure did not settle down level. Oh, no. I hate to see that. Now let us see if a building that can long settle down perfectly leveled in relation to its original position. What does that mean? We'll have some more information on this. This is the Winter Palace in Russia. It'll come up as some more evidence. Not buying this explanation either. If some building was built on the soft dirt and settled down, it would be obvious. That happened to me. Yeah, that stinks. It takes a lot of work to build a retaining wall, but you must do it the correct way or else it'll get all messed up. You gotta buy all the stuff, you gotta tamp the dirt down and put rocks and gravel, and it's crazy. I looked into it, it's too much work for me. Okay, also these settle down instances, and is he talking about his ball and chain wanting to tie the knot? Does that track as a joke? I don't think so. Alright, let's continue. No time to waste today. Okay, these settle down instances would not be epidemic, but rather sporadic, limited to a few specific locations. Okay? Yet we have this buried buildings in just about every country in the world, and giving builders some credit, they would probably figure out how to handle these issues of unsettled or soft dirt. Now, I know a lot of us live in places that are pretty old, and I myself have lived in specifically a house that was built in 1904. It was a long, long time ago, and I don't think any part of it has settled or been buried or anything like that. It's not a ball and chain until you tie the knot. And anyway, yeah, so I've lived in places that have been around for a while, not noticed any kind of dirt build up or any cultural layers starting to build up, although if they did, it would only be a ½ inch, so imagine you could just kind of sweep that away. Buildings were built this way version. Well, there might be a design of a building with the first floor windows looking at the dirt wall, but there has to be a mighty special reason to design in such a peculiar way. Also, the results of some excavations I show below demonstrate that there is no way those buildings were designed that way, so I'm not buying this one either. Here, a gentleman has to do some acrobatics to enter the building. Very common issue they have in Denmark, I've heard. Okay, so he's only heard of that being an issue. It'd be nice to get some first-hand explanation, but yeah, that would kind of stink to try to get in your house, and you gotta do that? Alright, now let us look at some of the buildings freed from multiple feet of dirt. The below images are primarily from Russia, but doubt the results would be any different from any other country. Okay, and so right there, it might help to provide some other evidence, but that's not important for conspiracies over at stolenhistory.org, and I'm not going to go off, and I'm not going to get all pissed off about it, because that's what usually happens when I look at this stuff. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm just doing it for the show. So there they've uncovered it, and so what they're saying is that when this building was built, they had a freaking door on the second right there. How are you getting into this building? Whoops. There's another image. So these buildings were built like that, and they had all these little windows down there or something. And maybe these are windows. I'm not really sure. But there's the underground. That's what it really looks like, folks. They had this whole couple stories of just kind of blank bricks, and I don't really know what's going on there. Some other pictures. There, they had to dig away for the windows. You see those windows? That's mud flood, baby. There's the same, appears to be the same building. Okay, now they're digging out some dirt. Have to do that from time to time to make sure your building is structurally sound and not falling apart. Oh man. That's a big building. Okay. Don't really see the underside there. Okay, there's another one. They've dug that out. That's pretty deep. So it would help to know a little bit more about this building, but we don't have the luxury of having any of that information. There's some other stuff, and again, some foundations to some old ass buildings. There's a window. What is that doing down there? I don't know. I don't understand. I'm scared. What the frick? What's he talking about? Mud flood? Let's get to the mud flood. Above images, we can clearly see... Okay, now, so he's going with all this evidence, and we need to know what the freaking mud flood, what is that? Before we go any further, he's providing all this stuff. It's very interesting to me. Inconsistencies, missing information, hard to explain, and straight up bizarre occurrences. Be careful, my friend. You need to find an entrance. What? What's going on? There are also old drawings that show dirt coming out of buildings. Multiple artists in many countries did drawings like that. Unfortunately, we're used to thinking that they were making stuff up. This education we received, nope, artists do not make stuff up. What the heck? Farmhouse I grew up in Ontario, Canada was 1800 and 1900. Victorian brick and had a really scary dirt basement with many rooms and partially buried windows? Oh no. Any pictures? Haha, no. I'm 53 years old. Don't think we even had cameras back then. Okay, so I think you did. Not that old. Come on. The 50s? There's some buildings in the Russian language. So there's not really just starting off with buildings that are underground. Now, we want to know, we're going to go back to this. We've got some stuff to talk about on this next part, but we want to know a little more, so we may have to go to a video now. Now, we will switch into video mode, initiate, and we want to learn about these mud floods. What are they talking about? Okay, so this is another channel. This is the New Earth channel. And this is another far-flung theory and some crazy weird stuff that sort of connects, sort of doesn't connect, but we're going to watch some of it anyway. And we're going to try to make it make sense to you. Okay? Here we go.
For the superficial modern man, history has turned into an ocean of often highly questionable stories, which do not even match with the historic sites and artifacts they are supposedly based on. But within the old and wise history remains a shining memory of the divine benevolent beings, the creators of the human race. To keep this sacred memory alive is not just about regaining historical accuracy, but to know for what purpose was this planet created, and why do we as souls come here to wear these costumes called human bodies.
Freaking monkey
And
suit.
in the current times, when evil so openly controls every facet of human society, reinstituting the truth
Sounds like a Mission
about
Impossible
our
song.
spiritual origin is of great importance, because along with its historical aspects come some of the most ancient and very practical instructions that will teach us how to live in a technologically advanced society with non-violence, compassion, and kindness, and have no need for war, pollution, and the rest of the self-imposed evils brought on by the ignorance of modern man.
Yeah, this is straight up mesmerized. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. There's a lot of pictures of some art and paintings and stuff. And I didn't want to go. We're going to have to revisit this guy to understand what the hell he's talking about. There's just a lot of stuff, okay? I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of stuff. It's very hard to make sense of all of it. But his theory is that people back then really lived a crazy cool life, and check out these paintings made by these guys in the, some Renaissance or the 1800s, whatever, and they were doing these historical paintings and making things like really, really cool and interesting. And it's kind of, isn't that crazy that a guy who made some paintings wanted to make something that looked really wild and out there and neat and interesting to look at? And why the hell would they do that? They're trying to tell us something, that the world really was just this amazing and crazy place with these gods and mythological stuff.
This was this planet created.
I think that's the theory that they're going for. This really happened. And these artist guys weren't just making it up and just making stuff to look at. They were showing us how things really were. So I think that's kind of his theory, and the mud flood will tie into that in some weird, convoluted, and crazy way. If I can figure out how to get us there, hopefully by the end of this episode, it will all make sense. Wait, aren't these photographs? We should look to the wisdom of the past to find out how to not do war anymore. They didn't do wars back then. I feel like all this stuff is part of the Assassin's Creed game. Yes. It's very weird. I'd love to know more. And we can check out, on another episode, we can check out this website, megaliths.org. The time has come to remember our true origin. So again, like Stolen History was the name of the website, the forum, and is just a little bit on the verge of some questionable stuff, where we look back in the past and say, man, our true origins, weren't they? People were amazing back then. All these beautiful, wonderful, intelligent white people. We love them. They were great, and they knew what's up.
The 1600s, that as one of the side effects, it deposited just layers and layers of mud, dirt, earth, and it engulfed these buildings. And then we've been digging them out or destroying them altogether. So I just wanted to point out, this is the old Boston State House.
Okay, I think he explained the mud flood, so he couldn't do it. He can do it, and I can't do it.
And as timeless as
So
infinity.
let's rewind that.
It is the middle ground
Miss
between
something
light and shadow,
Lots of orgs.
between science and superstition, and it lies
Important
between the
Egyptians
pit of
were
man's
looking mighty
fears
white.
and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call
So it's the Twilight Zone? I don't understand that. We live in the freaking Twilight Zone. Oh, shit. Is that the mud flood? Oh, no. No. The mud flood. I want to see. Okay, there's some real mud. This is kind of upsetting. With these actual flood destruction videos. Okay, not something. But yes, floods happen. It's very bad.
Just a box fan. I broke 2 of the blades off, glued a piece of plexiglass on top, and then glued these little rubber feet to allow it to vibrate. And so I'm going to see if this works as a classic demo to show liquefaction.
What? This is turd. What the hell is this? What's going on there? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Kilgore. I'm sorry. What the I wanted an explanation of the mud flood. Instead, I got this weird guy's experiment. Okay. We get it. It's gonna liquefy. Ah! What? What's mud flood? What? Okay, there's some floods, and it's bad. You know, when a flood happens, when a real mud flood gets you, look out. It's no laughing matter.
Mud, dirt, earth. And it's
Deluxe is so
surrounding
good.
all these buildings. And then we've been digging
Subscribing.
them out or destroying them altogether.
Hold on a second. Damn it. Shut
So
up.
I just wanted to point
Poff Deluxe subscribing for the 2nd month in a row. Thanks for the subscription. We love the cool stream. We love Poff and all of our friends in the chat, the Sucklebusters chat. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out the mud flood today. Attempting to do that. And I thought there would be a nice, succinct kind of description of what that is. So, because I got all this stuff, it's kind of out of order. Bear with me here. How about this one? Mud Flood Beginner's Guide. That's me. I'm a beginner, and I'd like to know more. Please tell me more. Spelling videos by no means an exhaustive investigation of the mud flood theory. It is, however, a snapshot into the world of mud flood. It is intended merely as an introduction for the curious. Okay, that's what we need. We've already gone way off the deep end, and we need to get back. We need to reel it in and figure this stuff out before we go any further. I will list those researchers that I've watched and learned from at the end of the short video. Recommend watching their channels. What is the mud flood? At some point in recent history, there was a cataclysmic event that caused much of the Earth to be buried in mud. Boom, there we go. That's the mud flood. Look at these guys. There's evidence from all over the world that buildings have been buried in mud. When did the mud flood happen? I don't like this music. Despite overwhelming evidence, the history books are conspicuously absent of any reference to such an event happening. Some mud flood researchers suggest it could have happened in the early 1800s, and others propose earlier in the 1600s. Why is the mud flood absent from our history books? Settles it. This is crazy. One theory is that the event was used as a reset by the controlling powers. The theory suggests that this was the beginning of the New World Order. Okay. And they used the event to rewrite history and conceal the truth of the past. Interesting. And there's ancient Greece. Look at all the mud flood they have going on there. I don't see the Parthenon under mud. It's been around since the beginning of time. It's still standing. Still standing strong. Whoa, what is that? Who knows? Who knows what any of this crap is? We're just about showing the pictures and going, that's kind of weird. If I take this picture completely out of context, I don't know what I'm looking at, and someone says a mud flood did it, then what caused the mud flood? Then it could really happen. It's like when a comic book series restarts with a new issue number 1. Very confusing. One theory is liquefaction, a phenomenon in which the strength and stiffness of a soil is reduced by earthquake shaking or other rapid loading. Okay. All right. So, is that what happens after I drink my coffee in the morning? When you made that joke. Liquefaction. It's a phenomenon when I eat a lot of fast food and gotta take some Pepto. The stiffness of my soil is quite reduced. That's what I'm going to say next time I have some nasty diarrhea. Seems like there are buried buildings from different eras. It's nice that the New World Order just lets people post the evidence of their sins. That's right. There's tons of it. These New World Order guys need to get a handle on this. The information is spreading fast and furious. There's got to be something you could do with rapid loading. All right, let's see. What can we do? Let's stop. Let's get the perfect joke. It's reduced by the earthquake shaking or other rapid loading. Carb loading. That's all I got. Well, normally when you build a big heavy building, they just set it right on the ground and they don't dig out a foundation or anything. Yes. So buildings, when you build them, you put your floor right on the ground and put your walls going up. And that's it. That's all you need. That's pretty much what a building is. And nothing else going on. Whoa! Nothing else going on here. That's crazy. I don't really like them showing videos of actual destruction because I feel like it's kind of minimizing, some real bad disasters out there just for the purposes of peddling their crazy conspiracy. Liquefaction and related phenomena have been responsible for tremendous amounts of damage in historical earthquakes around the world. Okay, happens every year, happens all the time. People, houses destroyed and all that stuff. But hey, this is mud flood, baby. And there's just some more pictures, examples of stuff. Do you not flush puff? Let's see. Rapid loading is what happens when you swap out your hard drive for an SSD. I believe the mud flood theory. Have you seen my bathroom the day after I have Taco Bell? There we go. Hold on. Yeah. It's a real problem. Just gets everywhere. Let's see. So the mud flood, the houses are underground. There is water underground. All over the world, windows appear at street level and often partially submerged. It's just a fundamental understanding of buildings and how they're built. It makes no sense having windows at street level. That's it. That's the beginning. That's where mud floods all started with our friend Corbin Dallas. He's walking down the streets of Seattle and he saw some windows on the floor. He's like, what the hell? What are these windows doing here? They don't build them like that anymore. But back in the day, they did definitely do that sometimes Dirt, water, and debris from the street would have entered through these windows. Hey, they might still be doing that. Look at that. Realize. That's kind of funny. Have you ever seen a hippo shit? I've seen that video, and they put I don't know if. Okay, here's the real conspiracy. Famous hippo farting video. Is that the real sound, or did they put a fart on top of it? Okay, that's the cool stream motto. So we're checking it out. Oh, right, so there's a big flood, a big mud flood. It covered everything up, and so buildings had to be dug out, and no one remembers the mud flood because it was sort of wiped from our collective mind. Let's get to the bottom of this damn thing. It was wiped from our mind, and there used to be a crazy ancient civilization that once ruled the world and built all kinds of amazing, incredible buildings, and they had a crazy culture, and they were beautiful, and they were just so cool. And now they're all gone because they were wiped out by the New World Order. And to me, when I read about all this stuff, I'm like, this sounds like a cool science fiction book, alternate history, that kind of thing. But this is the real deal to these people. So we've got some evidence here. We're gonna go through and look at some of this stuff. And boy, it's already been 50 minutes. Oh man. Well, we can always return to it, and that's been the cool stream. Just kidding. We're still going strong. Got all kinds of stuff. We got a couple main points to hit. We're gonna read a little bit more from Mr. Corbin Dallas. So I had to do my own research. Here he talks about the Winter Palace, 18th century engraving. You can see what it looked like when the engraving was done. And right below it is what the palace looks like today. A third of the structure is currently located under the ground level. Guess how many history professors can tell you why? Actually, all of them probably. So I would love some evidence of the historians, but instead he's just kind of... Actually, all of them probably would say it's the freaking cultural level, I bet. Doesn't sound very confident in his theory, but here's an engraving. The Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. And so you can see there's some stairs and there's some windows and all kinds of stuff. And here's what it looks like today. It looks exactly the same. It's a spitting image of this engraving. And we all know when they made an engraving, damn it, that was it. That's what it was. The guy was sitting there doing his drawing. He was looking at the palace. For some reason now it looks totally different. Weird. Oh no, there's windows underground. If you really break this down, the engraving doesn't look anything like the real thing. It doesn't even have the same roof on top of it. It looks pretty similar, I guess. So Corbin, Mr. Corbin Dallas, I don't think this is some hard evidence here, bud. This is a big time gaffo, my friend. Because, and here's where I'm going to slam dunk all over this. I've got a million tabs open. I gotta figure out where it is. Oh, frick. Alright, well, I was gonna do a big, cool, crazy debunking of that. Here we go. So I read a little bit about the Winter Palace and about how there's so many different versions of the palace, and that this crazy Italian guy was designing it, and he went through about a million of these designs. And Catherine, one of the Russian monarchs or something, she selected the spot for the building, and I don't have any cool pictures on this website. I'm not going to read it. But what I have found out, and you're gonna believe me when I say it, that they did a bunch of different designs for this damn building. Okay? And so, of course, there might be one or two old engravings that look a little bit different. So, there you go. Boom. Debunked. In your face. So why did the NWO want to bury that floor of the palace? I don't know. It's crazy. But what I will say is that, to me, in my opinion, I don't think the palace is a good example. Because I went and I read about it. And that's all I got to say. Believe me when I say you're wrong. Okay? So, the issue is not Russia specific. It's very common in Europe. Pretty sure people in London are very familiar with the type of sunk buildings I'm talking about. But also exist in the U.S. Below is Seattle, Pioneer Square. I'm not wrong. I'm never wrong. NWO buries everyone, brother. HH. Yeah, so Seattle, these mud flood buildings are everywhere. Can't escape. That's in Spain. So, then the list goes on and on. This is very interesting. Yes, so there's 1 million of these damn buildings in Seattle. It's crazy. Why? What's the reason? Let's see if we got a video that shows some of this stuff. We'll get back to Corbin Dallas. History. This is our friend Baked and Awake, and he has a cool podcast. You can check him out. I listened to his episode on
Okay,
mud flood.
everyone. Steve here. I saw a
He likes to get freaking
cool
smoke that
building
stuff.
right over there
Weed.
that looks a little
Flooding
bit
my mud all over
too old
Seattle.
and too interesting not to go
Spill
get
your
a closer
coffee?
look at. So we're
I
gonna
think I read about the NWO is
do
so
a little
negative.
impromptu in the neighborhood. Is it mud flood or is it not? Investigation. This is my approach vehicle.
Trusty.
The
Trusty
Han folder.
bicycle.
Don't tell my wife; she still doesn't know I bought this thing.
Oh no. She's gonna see it
All
on
right.
your video.
Let's go check it out.
Some history. There's a lot of history about Seattle. What I can tell you, and we'll look at some pictures, is they built the town with some very low-lying coastal property, and they had a big fire. Everything burned down to the ground. And they said, you know what? We've had some issues, and we want to rebuild the city because it burned down. And also, there was all this flooding and all this mud floods and stuff that they had. So they said, we're going to rebuild it, but we're going to raise the ground. They're going to raise it up so everyone... does this want to bust?
Okay, so we made it to the front of the building.
I'll get back to what I was talking about.
You know, I don't
His
know.
wife
I don't
definitely
think
does
this
not
is
watch his videos.
obviously
Keeping
a
secrets from the
18th
wife, not a
century
good
building
idea.
at all. What I do see is some interesting influence on this building's decor. Interesting stonework, detailed stonework. Let's see if we can come in tighter. You know, the Rosella has a rose motif over the arch. We have a
So stoned, this guy's baked.
repeated fleur-de-lis pattern
Interesting.
of some kind along the top of the building. 1, 2.
Okay, this building. Look down on the ground.
The
Oh, there's
Dahan folder.
his bicycle.
I don't see any ground floor windows or anything.
That's a bust.
Any other dead giveaways right
That's-
here? I don't know that this area would have been,
It's not a mud flood
part of an
zone.
inundation.
Heartbeat. Music.
Another shield on the side here.
I don't know why he keeps looking
You know,
up.
this one might be a dud. Or a
That's a dud.
Washington.
Alright, so that didn't really provide us with much evidence here. Is that a fold-up bike? I don't know. It's a bitchin' ride. If I was his wife, I'd be worried about women being all over him on that hog. It's clearly not fleur-de-lis. Got beer horses on the case. Okay, so... I'm trying here. I'm trying to make sense of this for everybody watching the show. Boom. So I want to talk about Seattle. What happened in Seattle? Why is it mud flood evidence? And what the hell are they talking about? Well, check out this podcast. Listen to a little bit of it. But basically they had a big fire. And look at that. That's crazy. And they decided to Pioneer Square. Topography was way different back then. It's a tiny peninsula, and it used to flood a lot. Okay, it's a terrible place to build a city, and that's most of the time back in the day. They just found the worst spots to build their city. There's Seattle. The flooding persisted. The toilets were at sea level, so the problem is at the time the tide came in, it would blast water through. Sometimes the toilets erupted with water, and that's the real mud flood right there. You get your poop water flowing, blasting all over the place. So then they had a big fire. A big bad fire. There was no loss of life. The Great Seattle Fire. No one died. The city saw the disaster as an opportunity to rebuild, to get their town up above sea level. All right, so we're going to be here. We're going to be in Seattle and drinking our coffee and having our mud floods every morning into the toilet. Sounds like my toilet the day after I have Taco Bell. Wasted his time on a dud. Anonymous gifter. What? Oh my god, we got a gift. We got an anonymous gifter in the house.
Ooh, it's so good.
I'll give a ooh, it's so good to that. Whoa. Thank you, anonymous gifter. Gave a gift to Beer Horse, our friend, Tom Chain, and Strahd. Holy crap. Thank you. Whoa. Thank you to the anonymous gifter. Let's do a big cheer. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Oh. It's going to keep doing it. Yes, 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 yes. Boom. That's cool. Thank you, anonymous gifter. And welcome to the Cool Stream crew. To Beer Horse, Tom Chain, and Strahd. Strahd. Thank you to the anonymous patron. Alright, so we're talking about Seattle. That's where you get your mud. You get your mud flood on. You drink your Starbucks. So they decided to raise the streets over 10 feet above where the ground had been before. However, business owners in Pioneer Square were already rebuilding. And this is a podcast, so I'm just kind of regurgitating what they've already done here. The 99% Invisible podcast. It's a little segment they did about Seattle. It's pretty interesting. So they were already rebuilding. Rather than halting the local economy while the streets were raised, business owners were told to rebuild using brick and add another entrance to the second floor. So during the mud flood, they had to rebuild, and they were told to do 2 levels so that they would raise the street to this level, and then they would have an underground. Streets were being raised up around the buildings and the sidewalks. In some cases, people had to go downstairs or up ladders to enter shops or businesses. Eventually, the city connected the raised streets to a new second-story entrance with sidewalks, creating a hollow space between the old sidewalk and the new one. So they had this crazy underground. And now you can actually go on a tour, which is kind of cool. So if you're in the Seattle area, go on the Seattle Underground tour, and you can see if there's any mud flood stuff around there. But to me, it's the band Mudvayne from Seattle. Yes, the band Mudvayne, a classic grunge band. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and these Puddle of Mud. Where are they from? Are they maybe from Canada? All those weird bands. Nickelback, my favorite band. They're from Canada. This picture is crazy. When I look at this, I'm just like, what were they thinking to build it on this big giant thing? Just looked it up. Puddle of Mud was from Kansas City. Whoa, that's interesting. Kansas City. All right, my baby come home. Okay, so we talked about cultural layer. We talked about cultural layer. And we're not going to talk about Battista Piranesi, but some evidence of mud floods, ancient cities, and look at this stuff. Can you believe that? There used to be a great civilization. Can you believe that? There was a great civilization, and it's called Ancient Rome. And that's pretty much what he was drawing there. It's all covered in crap and vines, and they hadn't really done a great job of preserving the ruins back in his day. And they would now eventually. Everything's great, but he took a little bit of artistic license. And I know what you're thinking. What? An artist? doing something weird and crazy. And he went and did all kinds of crazy stuff in his drawings. Actually, ancient Rome's pretty shitty. Yeah, probably not a great place to live unless you had a crap load of money. Yeah, so that's this guy's drawings, and that'll send you down a wormhole. Kind of like when I have my mud flood every morning. So, man, there's all kinds of stuff to get to. I do want to point out, speaking of ancient Rome, we did a show called Planet Cool last week, and that was a lot of fun. We talked about islands. So, our next episode, we're going to do it. I want to do it next week if I can find a good time to do it. We're going to go around the world. We're going to be talking about that famous peninsula with the boot. We're going to go to Italy. We might talk about ancient Rome. We're going to talk about ancient volcanoes and people and all kinds of cool stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun over on Planet Cool, and that's the Cool Stream bonus episodes that we'll do where we'll talk about interesting stuff. But today we're talking about mudflood. Corbin Dallas is asking the tough questions. All right. Let's see what he has to say. Let's do a reveal. Who is this guy? He's this kind of crazy guy. He's posting all these damn threads on stolenhistory.org. And let's see what he's all about. You know what? Let's see. In his own words, let's just get a glimpse into his mind. And so he's on YouTube. He's over here at Anonymous Chosen. Here he is. And it doesn't look like the guy, diehard guy.
What's up, everybody? It's Q. Listen, I know it's been a while since I've ever posted a video, but every time I did back in the day,
Speaking
I always
of
got flagged.
all that new metal.
Remember the papers that I used to write, about human consciousness, actually about Newton's first law, the whole gravity thing. I don't know, just there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that logically if you understand the biggest picture of what they actually tell you on how the universe works. Which obviously we all know is fucking a lie anyway, but there's a big thing, there's a big thing.
Not following
quote.
What you say.
I thought it was like the most amazing thing I conjured up because I couldn't really see anything else past that. Like, how could I be incorrect? One day finally clicked. That day was maybe a week ago at the most. Don't know if anybody else has figured this out, but this is the only way I can basically explain to you what's going on.
And shit. And the video is called Google Don't Flag This Society Exposed series. Oh man, this guy is just... This is 30 minutes. He's got a bunch of videos and it's just... It's crazy. He's wacky.
How they can do this? How are they able to make a human being controllable? How? Of course, we all know it's something of the whole pseudo-psychological effect, but there's something really big that plays into that. People just keep missing the point. People don't get it. I don't think people see it completely.
This isn't about mud floods.
Anyways, I wrote this quote. This is what it says. The most accurate assessment
this first law is not about gravity.
Has no relation to human nature.
Can any of these guys do a video under 30 minutes?
To source or discuss this subject.
No. And that's...
Although ironic, human behavior has become the new nature of the true world. Now, of course, human beings can't really source, discuss, or study their own nature, obviously, because of the way society works, it's always on the run. People need to pay their own bills, people need to work. There's a whole bunch of stuff that plays into our society that funds, make things happen, and just a whole bunch of stuff plays into that,
Okay. Would love an explanation on all the stuff that he's talking about, but he'll just leave it up to our imagination. He's a hottie. Hey, Kate. Kate is here. Just weighing in on our friend Corbin Dallas. He's pretty hot, but he has no ass. There's a lot of stuff. That's right. I don't know what he's talking about. He's not talking about mud floods. But I just wanted to just give you a little peek into the mind of Corbin Dallas.
Economics, basically, it's the best way to say it, even though that's also a false subject.
Okay. Not doing a good job of explaining what he's talking about.
You can't really have economics if you have a corporatocracy. Y'all think this is a democracy, obviously. It's not. It's a big lie. There's something behind that as well. Now, human nature is key. Okay?
Look at this little whiteboard.
Human nature has always been key. Always. But we always miss it. We keep forgetting because we always believe that society, the way that it works, is our human nature. It's the way that we do it. It's the way we do things. It's the only way we figured it out to make it work. Well, good for you if you actually believe that as a 100% certainty, like it's a fucking fact.
Whoa.
Okay? Now, this is what Francis Winterton said. He's a very nice author. He used to write about neo-scholasticism, or scholasticism is what you guys pronounce it as.
Okay. He's really full of himself. That's what you guys pronounce it as. Idiots. Can you say that? I don't know. Google, don't flag this. He's over at Anonymous Chosen. Biggest cover-up in history. He's got some videos. We're definitely going to check him out at some point. Tartaria, we'll revisit him. We talk about that. Earth Reality Exposed. Tartarians are the Jesuits. And how it works. Society Exposed, series number 2. Here's a brief overview. That's clocks in at 15 minutes. So just to give you a little taste of Corbin Dallas, and not in the horny sense. His brain is too powerful. This guy has reverse engineered early Marxism. Yeah, society's messed up, man. Sucks. I hate it. I want to talk about fun stuff. Alright. Man, I got some creepy music today. Okay. We talked about Seattle. We talked about Pearl Jam. We talked about Puddle of Mud Flood. We talked about... we could check out the Facebook group. They got some evidence there. Of course, you got the Our Cultural Lair on Reddit. We love Reddit, and they got some damn stuff to show you. Atlanta Griogia? Oh, Atlanta, Georgia. There's a mud flood. It's the Intelligencer office. That's kind of interesting. There's a door there. Well, and a lot of people will point out that when the ground kind of slopes up, anyway, you build your building and the ground kind of slopes up, you kind of have to do a little basement thing there. Happens all the time. So there's a bunch of evidence there. Buried in Copenhagen, you got the red squared. Speaking of Marxism, yeah. There's the mud flood stuff. They had to build a bunch of stuff there or something. The last guy faves his own YouTube comments. He's on another level. Oh yeah, I want to, do the thing where we say people are a certain way, but it's got something going on there. Here's some evidence of the mud flood. Expecting traffic lights or buses when suddenly are they using CAPTCHAs to catalog all the evidence of antiquitech and buried buildings? Statues. Stairs. What? CAPTCHA is used to train AI for self-driving cars. Okay. The CAPTCHA is telling us about mud flood and antiquitech. That's another thing, is that the mud flood actually flooded over all this cool, crazy technology. I'm just barely keeping it together here, folks. Just trying to understand this is a lot of work. The evidence is profound. Let's check out another video. I can kind of that's a fun thing to do. How about we watch one of this guy is debunking. This is the Atheist Dominion. Disclaimer.
Hi and welcome to the Atheist Dominion. My name's Rob. In a previous video, I looked at the mud flood theory and applied its thought processes to a building
He's
right
about
here
to
in
own
Brisbane,
these people with
specifically the
logic.
St Andrew's Uniting Church on Creek Street. The building fit the mud flood criteria because part of the building, as shown in the video I made, features windows and doors which are below ground level. This kind of evidence gets mud flood believers excited because they think it's hard evidence of a global mud catastrophe that inundated towns and cities around the world and partially buried buildings.
If it ain't mud,
after which workmen had to
hear
dig the
about
buildings out, but also having to now contend with a higher ground surface. This is the reason why some buildings have doors and windows below ground level. In the video, I clearly showed that the building was constructed on a natural slope of land, and I also provided photographic evidence of the church at different times in the 20th century, with each photo showing the exact same elevation of land. But this wasn't good enough for the mud flood believers, and one of them in particular, by the name of the father, double dared me to find a photograph of the construction or inauguration of the church. His or her reasoning seemed to be that such photos would show the church to be standing on flat ground, i.e. pre-mud flood, thereby showing my video
something
and
they
its
don't believe in.
conclusions to be false.
Conspiracy
With a little
theorists
bit
are
of time
irony
to
bros.
spare while on business in the city, I decided to stop by the John Oxley Library, which contains a unique collection of historical resources pertaining to the state of Queensland. While no photos of the construction of St Andrew's Church are present in this particular archive, my search for photos did yield a photo dated to the 11th of
This is a
February
skeptic.
1905,
He's a skeptic of mud
a full
flood.
6 months before the inauguration of the church
Looks the
on the
same.
27th of August 1905. In addition, in the book Valuing Our Heritage by Noel Adset, which was also in the John Oxley Library collection, I found this on page 84. The design took advantage of the site, the rapid fall of the ground from the extreme limits of the site, facilitating an harmonious grouping unattainable on level ground.
Alright, so we're debunking these damn mud flooders, and people in the comments, ooh, they don't like it. They don't like it. Why is the entrance walled? Oh, that's it. The entire thing is a hoax. One building proves it's fake worldwide. Dope. There's a very real reason why very little stuff happened in Australia, but you don't have the mind to understand. Oh, Rob, you poor pathetic schmuck. I know you try to sound important, but you don't fool those of us who can see right through you. Thanks for the laugh, though. This is from Everything is a Lie. Has your atheist movie about the reset come out yet? It must be coming out now, surely. Your feeble reply. Rodell. Okay, not Soros and all that. Social engineering. Go home. Well, Mr. Atheist, one who outwardly denies empirical proof, but rather out of a sense of will for self-aggrandizement, continues to publish substantiated dribble. Here is proof that you are either grossly ignorant of the truth of the mud flood, incontrovertible facts, or because your demented ego controls every aspect of your pathetic logic, which manipulates your mindless attempt to foist your baseless minority claims onto others. Boom. Well, dude, we have truth will not allow a respectable forum to proceed down your idiopathic stairway to hell unabated. Oh, man, he's going off.
That's right.
The link is presented below, provides hard data that refutes your entire valueless mud flood premise. Read it and weep, socket puppet. Suggest you either correct your error or repent of this willful folly or continue to endure self-deserved destructive criticism. Those of pure state truth will not allow you to besmirch those channels and researchers which have worked so diligently to bring awareness to this critically important subject. Mud flood. Bedrock liquefaction? Cut
I thank
and
all of the research
seismic
and movie
mines.
makers to take the time needed in creating and sharing such amazing and epic production and knowledge.
Read it and weep,
You are
socket
awesome.
puppet.
But let's start learning what we will be researching in this new episode.
Double dog dared him.
Liquid Europe and why. It is with enormous honor to
Hey,
represent
it is the mud flood, baby. Okay, so we got people freaking hate this guy, and people will clap back at him every chance they can get.
just saw a video, total defeat of mud flood theory. So I wanted to shout out to this author. You might, want to come to my chat and tell us what are you trying to debunk there, because nobody was claiming that church actually was mud flooded, or who was. Show me the link or something, so I can check it out what they were claiming first, because you're like, jumping to this church and saying, it's supposed to be mud flooded. So who said that first?
Who said it was the mud flood? Okay. Well, I don't know. No one said it, I guess, but I thought you could just go on the internet and look at the pictures and it would be mud flood if there was a window below ground. And it was. I'm not trying to defend the atheist guy. I'm not just, question. You got to question everything.
What is the year of construction, actually? If it's like 70 years after the mud flood event, so I wonder why you trying to debunk it then, which is very interesting. Also,
pretty interesting.
But you showed the picture of construction, and I wonder why they don't have like something like plans of construction, because it's like if they claim it's like 1908, they should have some plans, right? Because if it's a huge object, you're supposed to have plans, all those doors, floors, and stuff like this, walls and windows. Yep. Because you like showing something, you supposed to have a plan, right? If you don't have a plan, it's not a research, buddy. I'd like to disappoint you.
If you don't have a plan, if you don't have the construction documents from 100 years ago, you're toast. Okay, atheist, that's it. So he says, if you watch the original video I made, you'll quickly realize that I used the church in question example only. It's a conversation piece to discuss mud flood ideas and conspiracies. If you had actually watched that video properly, dude, it would have removed the need for you to take the time to make a pointless, rambling response. The fact that you've made a video response shows that I've hit a nerve and put a dent in your pointless beliefs. Oh, damn. Whew. Atheist Dominion. Got him. Let's see. Got some mud flood evidence here. The reason it's not readily seen current day in the cities and many regions, Mother Nature and man has cleaned up the mud. You venture out into remote areas, that's when you can really see the evidence. Oh man, I want to see some of this evidence. Exactly. 200 years passed and cleanup continues. Crazy. Let's jump on over to something. Let's check out some more evidence. Why, might as well. Midwestern Thug is here. Welcome. It's very interesting. Hey, everybody. It's getting late. Yep, cool streams. I mean, we can't go all night, but we'll continue for a little bit longer.
Thank you, Beer Horse.
Wow, thank you, Beer Horse. He's back. He heard the mud flood. We were talking about mud flood. He had to get in here and check it out. This is a good Facebook group about mud flood. Mud flub. More like mud flub. And it uses... There's not really much here to this post except the scale. Look at that. It's a crazy building. Wow. Remnants of the ancient city of Chilaga. Is that what that is? Looks like those buildings were built on top of something else, and those buildings look like your modern-day mud-flooded buildings. Oh my gosh, this is it, y'all. This is proof. This is mud flood proof right here. Well, don't be so sure of yourself. I did the research, and if I can find the freaking tab that I have about it, this is in Chicago. We need our Chicago expert here. We've got some Chicago people in the chat, I think. This is Chicago. And it was the City Hall. The building had a lot of problems. Oh, Marco Pablo got all of this for us. Thank you, Marco Pablo. Thank you, Midwestern Thug. This is in Chicago, 1875. What's powering the trams? I don't see any wires. So So they built this crazy building, and the foundation sank 6 inches, causing a gas pipe, and the whole building exploded. It's not funny, but it did happen. Here's all the different city halls back in Chicago days. Are these all covered up? Look at that. That's a cool little shitty little building. And there's another one. The third city hall. They had a lot of city halls back then. Where are the wires? There's the 5th city hall. They just kept making them. There it is. There's the mud flood building. Right? Kind of looks like it. The ground level would be right about there. That thing is huge. Crazy looking building. As soon as the building was finished, its limitations became evident. The interior, with its high ceilings, windows, oddly sized rooms. This is a shitty building. Took too long to build. Because the building had been under construction for so long, it was already overcrowded before it was finished, and some employees had to be moved into rented space. Made it evidence that, well, this building sucks. Didn't have the money to replace it. So they just blown about $100 million in current dollars on this mess. Fortunately, or something, the building sank 6 inches, causing a gas pipe to rupture, which created an explosion that blew the roof off the building. They blew the roof off the mother effer. Gave an excuse to build a proper city hall. The county moved into its half of the building in 1907. That's some crazy stuff. That they built this building, it sucked, everyone hated it. It looked insane. Very ornate building. And then it sank 6 inches, and then it exploded. Sounds like an inside job. Well, yes, that could be possible. So that's your great mud flood building. Stupid building that blew up, exploded. But that's the proof. It's mud flood proof right there. Whoa. There's some other good ones if I can figure out how to get out of here. On this here mud flood and hidden history. There's some stuff. They throw a little bit of shade at stolenhistory.org. There's the Seattle Wasteland. Seattle Wasteland. Looks like a beehole. Sounds like an inside job. Sank 6 inches and exploded. Sounds like my bathroom. The day after I have Taco Bell. This thing exploded. So there's Seattle. We all know about that. The Capitol building. What did you see? What do you see? The Capitol building had a mud flood? Oh crap. Yep, that's it. That's the Capitol building. They built it, and the very bottom didn't have anything. It was just had these columns and then the stairs going up, so you couldn't get into the building. Just kind of had a blank, ugly look on the front. Built some. That's one mighty big cultural layer. I want to know more. Structure that large could use a good foundation. I wouldn't doubt there's some shit tucked away in there also. That's right, it's mud flood. It's poo-poo. No freaking way. Capitol Hill? What? Yep, that's what it looks like, folks. That's the Capitol. They built it so everyone walking on the ground would just kind of look up, wave. There's no doors, no windows. Kind of a bad way to make a building. Future underground. Interesting stuff. This one's pretty good. This is good. Post here. People look like bugs next to those buildings. Is this photo with the Roman portal and the high building in the background taken prior to the one image of this compilation? Wait a second. I'm getting lost here. I need to go to the post. Seattle, Kansas City. All across the world. There's Seattle in 1909. They had freaking Zeppelins flying around. And it was amazing. Is this the exposition? What's up with this crazy stuff? The World's Fair's example of mud flood. We'll have to do mud flood part 2. Because this is insane. I'm trying to get to this one. And I don't know if I can get there. Here it is. Alright. Check this one out. How dare they pull these amazing, beautiful buildings down low, 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 low. The street scene is stunning. I mean, if these were the buildings of the day, I wonder what cultural consumer norms would match this, e.g. fashion. Would everyone be getting around in high-quality silk satins and linens? They would be cheap to buy. Prince Albert gilded teacups and saucers and lead crystal glass would be the old Woolworths version of kitchenware. Everyone was highly educated and open, and everything was great. What would governments look like? Okay, blah, blah, blah. So things were great back then when they had this big, tall building. There it is. What about this Tesla tower in the background? Rooftop devices all over the place. Oh my, what a photo. Yep, that's, this is in New York, and... Damn, Facebook. Come on. Facebook. I'm looking for the post about it. Completed, demolished. 13 years later. Edit possible construction photos found. Cross this one off. Well, some people believe it, but they found construction photos, so this isn't mud flood evidence. You hate to see that. No people in this shot. There were only 3.4 million people in 1900. This ain't mud flood. Maybe it is. Look. There's some underground. Right? No. It's not. Surrounding builds there. Surrounding builds too. Things were so much better back then when they had these tall buildings. Gildner Building was completed in the financial district but stood for only 13 years. It was destroyed in 1910 and replaced by a bigger building. This is photos of its deconstruction, not construction. It could be a lot older. The hell would spend millions on something like that only to decide it was no good? I don't know. To be honest, it seems to suffer the usual buried first floor business. So things were a lot better back then. People were smart, people could write in cursive, and they had all these cool buildings, and none of them are standing today. It's too bad. They all got washed away in the mud flood. And that's the end of that. That's all you need to know about mud flood. Yeah, we did it. We figured it out. I'll save some of this for another mud flood sequel. We'll talk about Tartaria, and we'll talk about all this crazy stuff. I hope you liked the show today. Talks about Siberia. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into Siberia on the cool stream, on the cool sequel to the Mud Flood Part 2. Yes, cool show, a lot of fun. Next, we're gonna do a Planet Cool episode this week. Coming up, we're gonna do the next cool stream is gonna be a best of. That'll be cool, because it'll be our 20th episode. And we're going to go back and look at some of our favorite topics and some of our favorite people like this guy, David Griffin, from back in the day. And go down the Corbin rabbit hole. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Stolen history. It's damn near impossible to go through all those threads all in one episode. It's crazy. It's overwhelming. Best of. Yes. Next week is going to be all of our favorite stuff from all types of episodes. We're going to cover every topic we've ever done. We're going to revisit some fun people that we've seen, some of which have made the Hall of Fame up on top here. This guy, David Griffin, we're going to talk about him. We'll talk about Mr. Food. We'll talk about...
Ooh, it's so good.
You know, we'll talk about everything under the sun. And if you got anything you want to see for this best of, hit me up. I'll be back doing a Planet Cool episode this week at some point. Figure out when to do that. Well, yeah, we'll cover that lady too, who did the famous Woo, and some of her stuff about Pleiadians. And maybe we'll revisit Mr. Food also. Where's me can opener? No, I'm not gonna watch that. I hate that guy. Right, so that's it for the show. I hope you enjoyed Cool Stream Mud Floods. and will play us out to end the show. Our credits, and maybe by next episode I'll have some new credits, revamped and all that stuff. So, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, Planet Cool. We'll do a best of on the weekend again. A lot of fun. Thank you, Midwestern Thug. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the anonymous gifter as well. That was cool. Thanks for everybody in the Sucklebusters chat. And we will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Here we go.